do you have a song that you remember as like one of the first songs that was really a big song for you that had some impact other than maybe being one of the bands that you ended up following or whatever, but just some song that you think of when I think of my earliest childhood, that song comes to mind.
Yeah, I think call it Carly Simon, "You're So Vain." I think that's the first song I heard that was just made me pay attention to music.
Absolutely. Carly Simon, strong stuff. And a side story on that, I remember a couple years ago, I heard her live album that was recorded, I guess, during the within the last 10 years. And to hear her belt that, there's a video on YouTube. Perhaps we'll link it below in the description. Um, it's live of her just playing like in Cape Cod. Beautiful, still going strong. But yeah, I too remember that one. And, what's funny is if I had to say one, and I would have had another one in mind, but also Carly Simon about that same time. Remember Anticipation?
Yeah,
Right.
and did she play? Yes, that was a great one.
But here's here's a cheat on that. How do you remember knowing the tune?
That's a good question.
Do you want to
Well,
know?
I think what's that?
I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but my memory of that was that I heard it and then learned, or somehow I came into the knowingness of what the song was actually about. But my earliest memory of the tune itself was from the Heinz ketchup commercial, where it was Heinz is so patient, and it showed the ketchup bottle upside down,
Yes, I
slowly
remember
dripping
that
out. Remember
commercial.
that? Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Heinz is so patient." And then later, that's there's a couple of songs like that as far as ones that we thought that's what they were saying versus, what they were saying. Like, for instance, do you recall about this same time, and so we're getting sidetracked already, that's the nature of the beast here, but do you remember when, we liked when Eric Clapton came out with "I Shot the Sheriff," though we did not know that was the name, do you remember what we thought they were saying?
I do.
What is that?
I shock a
I got
sherry.
the cherry. Right, right, right. And do you also remember that that's how we thought it was, Shaka Sherry? But then I remember I went to my mom's house. See, but what happened was we were living in a small town in Southern Illinois. My mother went elsewhere, and so my dad and they stayed there. And that's where he met Troy's mom. And so we lived in this little tiny, tiny town. There's also a story about that on the channel. And so I went off to the big city, to Chicago for like, I don't know, maybe this summer or 2 weeks, how it went, however it was the day. And there I learned that it was "I Shot the Sheriff." And I remember I came back, and if you deny this, I don't care. But I came back with this knowledge to Southern Illinois that it's actually not "I Shot a Sherry," it's "I Shot the Sheriff." And you and Greg, brother Greg, yes. And by the
We
way,
laughed at you.
yes, you laughed at me, and I was gonna say brother Greg the drummer, that's our subscriber friend. If maybe you remember that too, but, yeah.
I did. I remember thinking you were you were an idiot.